Jumping on here. He's ready. He's ready. Actually, signing on late for my first Sunday. Meaning my first Sunday, signing on late. Still looking here. Maybe I gotta go on the. Yo, cuz, Robbie D. First one on today, brother. We got 4. It's good, people. It's your boy. Happy Supreme Sunday. Super chat shout outs. I think I'm gonna give you guys a show during the week. And I'm also gonna do Mosey. What's good, baby? I'm also gonna do a shout out and questions for the super chats for last week. Hopefully I can jump. The Canarsie P. A lot of people don't realize about that one. Have you been there lately? Is it still open? That was Abratrimentos that was on the pier, right? Same one from Cross Bay Boulevard that closed up. The one on Cross Bay, Aldo bought, turned it into Aldo's too. Right? That's the one you're talking about. I haven't been. Wow. Maybe a year before. I think it closed. I think I probably went there the year before it closed. That was a great spot until they got shut down for dumping the. That's what they were doing? That's why they got shut down? I couldn't even tell you. Steve Pellegrino, shout out, baby. Bensonhurst is in the building. Bensonhurst is always in the building in my heart. 86th Street back in the days. You know, it's closed, yeah. But I didn't know it was for dumping. I knew the one across Bay. I don't know if they were around the same people. No, there was all the Gambino family. I just didn't know if the one in Canarsie was as well. But I love that place on the water. I remember when I first started going on. I never say going on dates. Philly's always in the building. Mo's always in the building. Philly, Bensonhurst. You know, the 86th Street. Real quick before we jump back, the love I got for 86th Street, of course, Villabate, but it's where I learned about so many different cars. Like, I already knew, like, how the Grand National, the 5.0 Mustang, the IROC, the RX-7, those cars were all, I mean, let's keep it real. The Grand National was the Ferrari of the 80s, you know? Everybody, the way they buy Ferraris now is the way people had Grand Nationals back then. Ronnie G was more powerful in the neighborhood. Alphonse was definitely more respected in Cosa Nostra. Listen, I give, that's, you know, that's something I'm going through now. Yo, absolutely. Drop, absolute. Listen, I'd love to own one now. The Mustang GT 5.0, that's always been my car. But when I first started dating, this is where I'm actually going to do a show one day. I'm on dating and seeing girls. I only seen girls because you may see a girl one night and never see her again. Your father's got one. Wow. Does he got the T-type? We're going to touch on that, Smith, in a minute. I'm going to get to that. Got a few things to talk about today. Just let everybody know it's jumping on. I will be doing another live just to go on and thank and answer anybody in my super chat. I don't know if Lisa Lowe jumped on yet. Baby girl, you know, you one of the first people that I spoke to before I ever jumped on here. Before I even jumped on Instagram, I think, and then YouTube. And we spoke a lot. I see that you're not blonde anymore. You look good, dark. You still look good, beautiful as always. I want to thank you for the shout out and the love you sent me. I'm glad that you're finally on IG because we haven't spoken a minute because I'm not on Facebook anymore. So Lisa Lowe, if you out there, I know you holding it down. And sweetie, the dark hair looks good. And I appreciate the support. I'm so glad to see you on IG. I'm so glad to see you on YouTube. Let me check it myself out. I'm only kidding. I gotta get the remote. So yeah. So when I first started going out, instead of just hanging out with girls at the local park or the pizzeria or the movie theater, and I was able to drive, Abbracciamentos in Canarsie was my spot. On the water, they always went above and beyond. It wasn't neighborhood, but it was 10 minutes, 7 minutes, you know, from my house. So yeah, Abbracciamentos, it holds a little bit of a spot in my heart. I'm glad you brought that up today, Abbracciamentos in Canarsie. Not the one on Cross Bay. I mean, you run into, it was probably a little bit before my time anyway, but you probably run into everybody in the neighborhood anyway. You ran into a lot of people in Canarsie as well, but as I got older, I probably knew them more than I did when I first started. Switching up with the yellow can. I don't know. The store had a mixture today. I'm moving stuff around, so it's a little crazy. I don't know who jumped on. Lisa Lowe, you jump on yet? And hear my thank you? Let me know, sweetie, when you jump on. So we will be doing a live to thank everybody from the super chat. Now that I'm finally getting this down a little bit. I don't got it down yet. Questions. Like the cigar. Outside only, Rob D. We don't smoke inside. What I did find out, which is very disturbing. I mean, everybody does it. Supreme Sunday. Oh, you know what happened? I brought the, you know, F Supreme, Save a Bait. I always got the Supreme Sunday. Today was a little workout day. So I had my arm sleeves on since I pulled my shoulder and my elbow. So, yep, Supreme Sunday all day. But I will be on giving you guys, I'm gonna try to put out a lot of content this week. The first will be a live to thank all the super chats for last week. I want to make sure I give them a good portion of my time. I want to touch on a lot of stuff today. For some reason, people got in their mind that I jumped on YouTube and got rich and famous with them or because of them. I have no idea. I was, Carmine, I see you there. Carmine, shout you out. Where you at? So, that, there's one thing about Hootie. When I first came home, I got in trouble for the first year. It was hard for me to adjust. Now, I wasn't adjusting because I already knew I was out of the life of crime. But being disrespected, being spoken to the way... Now, I say civilians, but I don't say it in a way that... Hey, Sashro, it's good. The mob rats say what? This is a newsboy's hat, not a peddler's. This is a newsboy. There you go, Rob D. Newsboy. The hat's a newsboy hat. That's exactly how the guy sold to me 2 years ago. Called it a newsboy's hat. I have a few of them. Arthur was good. Let's forget. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna do a shout out on the lives to thank all the super chats for last week and answer your questions. Whatever I can answer today, I will. But the super chats, I'll make sure I go live as a special thank you. Because Lisa Lowe, one of the first people who told me to jump on here and gave me a little bit of advice. You need to have 1,000 viewers to make yeah, I know. 666 NYC. We know who you are already. That's a phony account. That somehow, but whatever it was. So I got in a lot of trouble the first year that I was home, 2015, right? That I was back in the streets, back in the neighborhood. Somebody said in a video that junky, low-life, garbage pail Stacks, which I won't even mention him, because if you go to my viewership, at least 80% of my viewers will not even watch his show. Nobody should. He's not in true crime drama and genre. He's not. If he come on the bull slap Joe Lava Candy on a regular basis, probably not on a regular basis, but he definitely cracked them. Carmine the Bull wasn't the type of guy to hit guys. Forget, Arthur, forget. Let's get cracking. Carmine the Bull wasn't that type. A bull because she was strong and built like a bull, not because he was a bully. A lot of people don't know this. Do I know Carmine personally? I'm from Bristol. That dude Stacks. Yo, straight goofball. Straight goofball. And we're going to go into Stacks today. I wasn't going to give him any viewership. The guy gets 25 people on his live, and that's a lot. And I will only look at it when someone puts it in my DM because he's not getting a view out of me. He was a bum. I try to help him. His ex, I don't know if she's back with him, had a good ex. He had a good girl on his side trying to help him. She didn't do him dirty. I never had her phone number. We communicated through email because we were sending back pictures back and forth from the night that I took him to dinner, shopping, the night that he wants to, throw into the garbage pail. Whatever. I never went on here and told a single person what I did for him. You know what I mean? Handed him money in the gas station to pay his bills. Handed him money. I never been to his house. I dropped him off by his girls. I never had his girl's number. She's a very professional and very legit woman. She was definitely too good for him. And then now, listen, if you're not Italian, you're not Italian. Listen, I know guys that aren't Italian. Mike Smith, I like when you do that. I like when you do that, Mike Smith. If that's your real name. I don't mind. Legitimate woman, nice woman, way too good for him. I don't know what their situation is because I will never. That's one guy. There's two guys on here that one of them can definitely get back in my good graces with the right apology, which is Lee Cole. Stacks, I promised I would never say anything. There's only one other person in this world that I talk to and trust as a friend. And I gave that person my word I would never mention him on here. He actually still has to pay a monthly fee because I got him the 2,000 subscribers, and let's round it off to 2,000. Maybe it was 1,800, and then I left him cold because he wanted me to jump off the JC show and jump on his show, which both shows were just for me to help them get started. JC knew that. JC was going to pick a lane. Yeah, I don't really talk about him, Mike. That's not my platform. It's not something I discuss. I don't watch him. That's nothing that I discuss. That's the only reason. I only talk about people that I know and I know of. It's not that I'm not answering your question. I just don't talk about a man that I know nothing about personally, just social media wise. and of reputation that I can definitely vouch for. So he had a good. Listen. He started out really good. Dollar store of a version of a gangster. I don't want to be a gangster, so I'll take that as a compliment. They lock up YouTube gangsters. Break down one. Go back. I can't hear. 421. Yo, I thought you were gonna break down in an enemy of a hit. We're gonna eventually get into how you would have to sit on somebody. I have no idea about an enemy of a hit because I've never been on one. Did you work with any Irish gangs like the Westies? Now, the thing was, when I was coming up, all the crews, guys were getting straightened out that were half Irish. You didn't have to be in an Irish gang. That wasn't the thing. 3 Irish kids that I did grow up with were the toughest in my neighborhood. There was 4. One was my closest friend, and he stabbed me in the back. And to this day, he's still stabbing me in my back. Like anybody. See, you guys come on here, and I'm going to go back to the story and think about all this YouTube, what do you call it, mob war? Well, now I heard since I changed, let everybody know, I didn't change my genre. My genre has always been, true crime. And if you would have watched anything with Sonova Cantrell, you would have known that. No, I had one sit down with him years ago. And I'm not going to lie to you. It was I approached it like the real deal. That's the kind of respect he had in the street. Yes, it was my brother-in-law. I have nothing against him at all, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was actually gonna listen. You can't beat the 11. It's just too narrow. That's what messes that up, because it gets real tight at the front. Broke my left toe playing football years ago, and I never chose to get it done. You could get it shaved, but it brings on arthritis. And for my age, I'm pretty good with arthritis, so I never did it. I suffer it out. But these off-white joints are crazy. The 5s, if I could get to them, I'll show you. It's one of my favorite, and I'm not a 5 fan. I remember seeing them on The Fresh Prince, and I never owned the pair at the time. They just look too big for jeans. I was a big jeans wearer. Oh, 421, you got those? Send a pic. Those are fire. The low tops or the high tops? The low tops, they're still big money, but the high tops are big money. Talking about the Dior's someone just put up there. That's crazy. I'm actually going to show you. That's why I told you I'm going to make a separate episode to thank the super chat during the week. Jose. Evazo. Appreciate you liking the content, my man. Loving the content. McNasty. You know the answers already. You just wrote both of them. I'll touch on that story if I got time. Yeah, I don't like the Rick Owens. Not the sneakers, right? I got the 25 low top Chinese New Year. The low top. Yeah, they're like I seen them. What's that? What do you think? Okay, now someone just asked me what I thought about Gene Barillo, right? A couple weeks back, somebody asked me, always talking about big news, big news, big news. We did. I did have big news. The big news was there was a lot of ventures that me and Gene Barillo were going on. We were starting a show. He was still keeping his show, and he's actually, I think he's still got a documentary going on. But we were doing the Hootie and Gene show around, and not necessarily the name, the Oregons. We got them Oregons. Hey, Sastro, you got those? Let me know. Send them. 8.5, 9, 9.5, whatever they are. Buddy been going live every day. since he found out he can get paid. Who's that? Who's that? Jet cards. Who's getting money every day? Who's getting money out there? Good for you. So that's why I knew this episode was going to be all over the place, this live. That's why I'm going to make sure I set a separate episode aside to thank the super chats and answer all the questions. Now, we were going to do a show. Who's on here? You got them. Hey, Sashro, send those out. Fire. Hold on. What up, Hootie? What do you think of the lead call, or are you staying out of it? I don't know. I don't watch the show. He owes me a really true apology, and I sent him the literature on things he wasn't talking about, and he definitely needs to expose who told him the lies about me, and then we'll be good. The only guy that never gets forgiven is Stacks, but I have no reason to drive ever to Bristol. I have nothing, no threats, no anything. He doesn't have to call the cops or get a restraining order like he would love to do. So yes, you watch Francis and say, that's like another thing when I'm trying to explain to people, which I'm going to get to about money. It's so stupid. So we were doing a Hootie and Gene show, Gene and Hootie. It was going to be like a pop culture. Gene's much into fashion, hats, dressing nice, knowing the nice things, the watches, the car. He's very up to date. NY Hood Boys, I love that name. Saw a live where Stack said, JC was asked if he said you were in the mix and he respects your skills, said you battle tested. What's the difference with them? Yeah, just explain that, NY Hood Boys. I just explain that question a little bit better for me, and I'll get you that answer. So, whatever it was going to be, and then it was going to be my era. Remember in the mid '80s, which was a little dark for me with my family and people on my passing away on my father's side and my mother's side, some in the street that I didn't even know, and my growing up with what we wore and how we dressed, and it was the end of he said something with me and FBS. He was talking about both of us in a conversation and still talking. I have no idea. This guy only knows me because somebody put my name in his ear, and he's got to admit that he let a certain person, and who that person was, put a battery in his back. It wasn't good. He didn't get anybody that's good to tell him anything about me. And all right, New York Boys. What's the difference in the mentality between guys like Stacks and JC? Well, the difference is where, like the thing with me and JC, it went bad for the wrong reasons, and then he went a lot further than I went, and then accepted information from certain people he shouldn't have, and he recognized that happened. And then I recognized the part that I played. And you can go back and watch any video. I never went hard at JC because I knew where it started from was somewhere stupid. So I left it alone, where he went on a little bit further and a couple other things, and then but recognized it because he's smart enough to. Stacks isn't. If Stacks would have just apologized, copped to his lies, it could have stopped there. But he hooked up with an ex of mine, talking-wise, which he doesn't even know. She wouldn't even sit in the same room as him. How much she skeeves him. You don't know what the word skeeve is. Skivats. A person like Stacks, he's so brain dead from the drugs that he thinks like he's got this woman or this person, whoever he thinks that he's talking to, on his side, when they're just trying to use him. No, we're not. It's just discussing a situation that was brought up, and somebody, I promise you, I will not. I spoke about one person the other week. That person will never be spoken about again. We'll talk about him getting shelved in a little while. We have a lot of things I know people want to know. That's why I did this live so early. So he's another guy. He's letting somebody put a battery in his back. He turned around in an interview, and he's with the fat bald Sicilian. Oh, Lee Cole. We'll touch on that because you guys got me jumping all over the place. And then we're gonna get back to the shows about Gene. I don't forget nothing, so we'll touch on everything. In a conversation that Lee Cole has, he mentions he's a fat bald Sicilian. I don't know the fat bald Sicilian from the hole in the wall. When he appeared, and he mentioned my name, I reached out. He reached back. We came to an understanding, and that's it. We don't know each other. We don't have anything with each other. Yeah, that's the only guest that wants it. That's that. He's probably a nice guy. I've never interviewed him. I never sat with one of those interviews because I don't know. If I don't really know you or your reputation, I don't want to go into an interview. Stacks he can't get nobody. Look at the fat bald Sicilian. That's what Stacks. I put Stacks out on the scene so he could do what FBS is doing on his own. Go out and get guests. Go out and do this. Go out and do that. He came to me with 20-something subscribers. And I told him I'm not doing shows. I agreed to do a show with JC because I like the West Coast, East Coast thing. And he knew a lot about marijuana. And M. Cali knew a lot about marijuana. And that was my wheelhouse for a long time. So I jumped with them we always said this until every one of us found a lane. Now, I already had a lane. I already had a book deal. We announced it on that show. I was getting offered my second book deal, which everybody knows there's no money in it, right? You could get in advance. You got to promote it yourself. I did none of the above. I'll be promoting it, but no advance, no nothing like that. Lawyer fees, all of that, taken care of on my own. Way before Stacks, these guys are I'm cool. Me and Jay, we're not going out to dinner, me and JC, but we got no beef. But I'm the guy. It comes out, I get it. If it's the beats, if it's the first ones, the regular AirPods. Then if the pros drop, somebody special got these for me. Very special, near and dear to me. And then I have my own pros, which I just lost the right one, by the way. So when people go on and say that no one's ever donated money to Hootie, have I had friends to help me when I was in a jam? Yeah, because a lot of people that, think right away I'm going to go out, get in trouble. I'm not. But if I'm working and I work 3 weeks and I pay my bills for 3 weeks, and the fourth week, what do? I know I only live once. I'm gonna go out and buy the best of what I can, and I leave myself broke for the whole week. That's who I am. If it's got to be the Off-Whites, if it's got to be AirPods, but that's me before going on air. If it can't be the best, I don't have it. I don't wear. I don't know. These people who keep talking about cars, watches, and houses. I own a 15-year-old car that you can hear coming from down the block. I live in a studio room, and I wear an everyday watch like everybody else. So, but my style, the way I dress, the things I wear, if I'm going to get it, it's going to be right, or I'm not going to get it. Bottom line. Most of the time, you won't see me in the same thing twice unless I'm bumming around. So, for Stacks to come on with 21 subs, asks me for help. I set him up with a challenge, and I set him up with the channel and leave him alone. He goes nowhere with Stacks. But now remember, he said the John and Gene show hung up on him. I don't know Gunna, but I just heard a video last night of him talking crazy nonsense about me. Don't even know me. But I'm glad that you supporters who support him, you can't afford to buy his swag. That's, the level he's at. You know what I mean? He got 11 novels, and he's still online begging for money. I don't know a lot about him, but he told Stacks, get an influence online, and then I'll help you. I was the last person that he called because he seen me in an interview on the John and Gene show. There's a lot of people say, I'm not talking about beefs. There's someone asked me, and more than once, to explain the whole story. So he reaches out to me, tells me he's a recovering addict, he needs help. But right away, I had a friend who was in the recovery business. He said, there's a lane to help. Now, I was only going to go on and help if I had a lane to go down. This is before the shows were starting. JC had a good idea. I was already working behind the scenes on a bunch of stuff. I was doing a lot of charity work. I was doing a lot of charity work with religious groups that I wasn't a part of their food pantries, if it was giving out, if it was unloading trailers, if it was talking, if it was whatever. I was doing all of this and living my life the way I've always lived it. You know, if it was my style and I liked it, I went out and I found a way. Michael Smith, no, I didn't know anything about that guy. The one thing I do know is he's a war vet and he gets my respect for that. That's the only thing I do know. And, you know, I'd have to speak to him myself just to find out. You know, I see people talking about how they couldn't wait to be interviewed by Stax, and they don't realize by the end of the day they're interviewing themselves because he don't have the right questions to ask. And then instead of him owning up that he's not Italian, because that's okay. You can act Italian, you can eat Italian, and then you want to say you got to like, oh, I might have a great uncle that's Italian. It's not a big deal. There's many people that aren't Italian that are in the life. If that's where you want to be. I don't want to be in the life. I'm in a different genre. I'm not in the mob. And then I heard somebody the other day turned around, turn around and say that they're in a true crime drama genre. It's drama. That's why it keeps bothering me. Because you're not. Stay where you are. Don't try to jump up and come over where I am. I'm not in the mob genre. I never was. I was never even on record. Standing in New York City. Most of the bros here are from New York. Most Indians in Jackson Heights and Queens. Yeah, that's not the Middle East, but you got a lot of are you from India? Much respect to the Punjabi and the Indian and all of yous out there. You know, I've been running in and out of them stores since I'm a kid. Besides the Middle Easterns as well. Much respect for your religion and for yous as well. And actually, where I go in the city every day is a smoke shop. Well, once a week, every day. I'm not gonna say that. Once a week, when I go in, there's a smoke shop, and I'm always running short on a Red Bull, and he has a little refrigerator, and he has Red Bulls in there, and he's a really nice Middle Eastern guy, Muslim man, very religious, very nice, and I always have good talks with him. I wind up running late. He's a really good guy. I'm actually gonna definitely take a pic or do a little quick vid with him and send it out to you guys. Yeah, that's what he said. He might have an Italian uncle. Who cares? It's 2021. You know, you get straightened out for being half Irish. If that's the life that he wants to be a part of, I don't know. That's not me. But I always told him to be himself. The girl at the time that he was seeing was telling him to be himself. He kept trying to be something he wasn't. I take him with me. So he comes to me with 21, goes nowhere, nothing. So I said, okay, but listen, I'm building my brand. Forget about YouTube and IG. I'm terrible on IG, and I'm probably just as bad on YouTube if I'm not doing a live. I have a studio that I could go recording. I don't. I choose not to. I'm good. I'll save that 150 for the hour, and we go pop off somewhere with that, right? So we'll get into all of that. Jet, you want to keep coming at me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe your account's fake. I have no idea. I know. I got to get on that sugar-free. 42781. I know. But it's my only vice. I'm not eating the pasta no more. That burger you guys see me eating, I think that's probably the last of the bread. I'm going good. It's Greek to me? What's Greek? Red Bull sugar-free. It's Greek to me. Greek to you. Hootie looks Greek to me. Greek women are beautiful. So I tell them, okay, make it the Hootie and Stack show. I'll come on. I'll get you guests. I'll introduce you to people, and in that genre, and I'll do the interviewing. Pay attention, and then at some point, I'll let you loose, and I'll go. This isn't a forever thing. He says, yeah, just get me to where I need to be. I says, okay, but just remember, because I was gonna put merch behind it, the whole 9 yards. When you start this, I'm looking at it as a business. This isn't my own venture. This is a venture that I'm doing with him. So I'm looking at it as a business. Mo Ali at New York Hood Boys for Marine Park is in the building. Marine Park, you are the 1, 2, 3, the 4th person. I always try to remember people from Marine Park, because shout out to Marine Park Hard, somebody that I got a great deal of respect for in a certain business. Moved there, bought a place, calls it home, loves it there. This woman who just passed away, Miss Peggy, she worked under me when I was a supervisor, working for the, I don't know, you're not going to understand this, but the ladies that give out the samples inside Blockbuster Video, yeah. Inside of Costco, well, I was a supervisor for that company before I moved on with FedEx and Costco at the same time. And I had all women under me. And if I sat here and started reading you some of the letters of these ladies retiring, or when I left, you really would call me, is there a lot of mob action on Long Island? There used to be, and there's a lot of guys. I had like 3 or 4 incidents on Long Island because guys thought they were. There's a lot of guys on Long Island that think they are. So, Miss Peggy, she was having a little bit of stomach issues, originally from Marine Park. Oh, wait, oh my God. Right off of Utica and Flatbush. What is that? Brennan and Carr. She was an original waitress from Brennan and Carr. Or was it O'Brien's? No, not Brennan Carr. She loved Brennan and Carr, because I got to give her a shout out. 106, 108 Park's in the house. Yo, my man, come right. If you're going to jump on the channel, if you're going to want to be disrespectful, at least come at me with something good. I don't mind. I don't chase anybody off. Did I tear it up at Costco? What? 42781. Rewrite that. She loved Brennan and Carr because she would come back over the weekend and talk about the Gargiulio burger. But I think it was O'Brien's. She was the waitress for years. It was like this place sold a good steak in Brooklyn. Someone tell the goof because to say genre. He can't. That was good, New York. Like, did you have any dealings with? No. I don't even know where I stand with that man. It's a little fishy because the person I don't get along with is his closest friend. And sending love and support. I appreciate you, old scum B. You said, SKUMB. Don't think I'm saying your name wrong. Off the hook, Mac. Hook up a lot at Costco. Nah, no shit where I eat, But I wasn't working for them. I was working for an outside company that took care of the samples. I've never been to a Costco. That was my first time, so I didn't know the whole free sample thing. But the lady seen how I talked, and she showed me how to use Excel in a day, and that was it. I was off to the races as a supervisor, doing schedules, doing things like that. And I had a lot of retirees working for me. Most of them were women. Actually, 2 were men, and I'm actually going to check in on one of them. He's a Met fan, Bill. I got to give him a shout out. But Miss Peggy, I just went back in and found out I was getting some MRIs in the area, and I stopped in, and she went out because her stomach was bothering her, and it wound up being life-threatening. And she was 86. This woman would stand on her feet for 7 hours straight. I'd have to go onto the floor and tell her to come in. She didn't mind at all. Everybody would be rushing in with their carts. She'd stay out there talking to the customers. 7 hours straight on her feet at 85, 86 years old, 84, 83, all in her 80s, mid-80s. She did this job while I was there for years. Even when I didn't work for it no longer, even before I knew her, when I was applying in the area. Hey, Hootie, has Met took over NYC like it? You know what? They just told me the other day it has. It hasn't taken over. I've never seen it in my life to this day. I know a guy that I was away with. They got 27, something like that, years. He mailed like a kilo of meth. I don't know how it comes, but whatever it was, the FedEx were the DEA agents, and yes, the beef started from a troll. I didn't understand the whole beef with Calandra. And I don't have beef with John Panisi. You guys are making me jump all over, but I'll remember to get back to all subject. The only time I'm going to say his name. No, his name didn't ring bells in my neighborhood or in the streets. No, none of the guys that I know knew him. The older guys that I've spoken to knew of him. When people think that I talk about family jumping, it's not directed at John. I had a conversation with Tom. I don't even know where Tom stands anymore, but months ago, I was walking in my yard, smoking a cigar. I called Tom, and I let Tom know that whatever's being said, even if John's making subliminals at me, that's fine. I don't know why. I know he was a Howard Beach kid, then an Ozone Park guy, then went away, then went to Staten Island, then moved to Long Island. I don't know. And none of the guys I knew him personally. My mentor didn't know him at all, and he's probably 15 years older than John. But a lot of Gambino guys did know of him. He was never on record, from my understanding. And if he was, I didn't know. So when I said that, I wasn't referring to him, because I didn't think from my understanding, he wasn't on record with the Gambinos. If he was, Hootie, did you know Fat Nick? Yes. What happened to Fat Nick? Actually, we all had that. He was a sentencing judge, the same sentencing judge for me, for Little Peter's son, and another case. That guy does not play. That guy, the only reason why I got the 2 flat was because the guy flipped in the case and told him my position in that whole operation. It wasn't even it was a stupid operation, because I thought it was a factory operation, and it was all Pakistani and Guyanese, Middle Eastern pharmacists. And he gave up all the pharmacists and me as well. And that's where it was. Joey, I don't know if he's the real deal or not. Maybe you know. I don't. That Hootie the Clown page is dead. No content, because it Stacks, my ex, and a couple of, and this young lady that was trying to intern for the Hootie platform, and I had a lot of respect for her, and I tried to do whatever I can for her. And come to find out, a couple weeks ago, she was the one stabbing me in my back as well. I don't know, that they just line up, I guess. I don't know. Why wasn't Peter Jr. active? Peter hated the life. Straight up. Peter didn't like the life, didn't want to be a part of it. That's why Peter flipped from Howard Beach to Ozone Park when he got older. Yes, I knew Ryan G very well. Got nothing but respect for the man. I had many encounters with Ronnie, actually. I've had more encounters with him than any other Banano skipper. Yeah, all wise guy. But I interacted with all the guys that were made in his crew. But Ronnie more than others. Listen, he had a guy that owned a body shop, guy that owned a deli store, that he actually did the right thing by me on a few occasions. A lot of times I never like to call the cops and report my car stolen, or make a police report. That's how serious it was about not calling the cops. And a lot of these guys owned body shops, and they would fix my car up, give me a good price, come out of pocket. So I had a good relationship with a lot of guys that came up and around him, because he was probably one of the first guys straightened out, or he got straightened out young, out of all of them. And I have a great deal of respect for his cousins that a lot of people don't know, legitimate guys and May guys. One of them's actually a May guy who does nothing but work legitimate. So that whole crew I knew growing up for a lot of years. Ronnie I met in the Howard Beach days, and we became I could say friendly enough. And I had a great deal. Yeah, you can confirm who the clown was made by Stax. It uses the same cheap editing software. Yes, him and that girl did that. We know that, Jet Cards. Coney Island Avenue and Avenue U. The roast beef is insane. What is that? Name the place. New York City 24 hour. I'll be there. Or according to Stax, who I took through my whole neighborhood, who I did a live with, took him to the same pizzeria, went past the same Chinese restaurant that I dropped on my Instagram earlier, which was closed for COVID. And then he goes on and says that the scrap metal shop was their father's. Carmine's. A great deal of respect to Carmine's mother. She had one on 130th Street years ago. I don't know about the father. But you're making me jump stories here. Carmine the Bull, which he wouldn't remember me because I was too young, was the original guy hanging out at Aldo's. With all the guys that used to hang around that avenue became junkyard guys. They all wound up going out and owning junkyards. I should have went into the junkyard business on the other end when Johnny Boy told me to. That's Johnny Boy Ruggiero. The best advice he could have gave me when I came home from jail, before I went to jail. One of them, I forgot what it was, what the time frame. If I think about it, I'll remember. And he told me to take whatever money I had left. I tell everybody this story. God rest in peace, Johnny Boy. Much respect to him and that whole family. Legitimate guys. I hope if you can count 3 people in your life to be true friends, you're lucky. I was always told, wow, I can't count 3, my man. I got. Let me know if it went dead because I touched the screen. Someone write in. If there's no volume, let me know. Because something came up on the screen. Appreciate you. Now, this is where this comes in, right? I charged the wrong computer. You only got so many plugs, but now we're going to use the morph for Stream Sunday. See, down to my morph. Got style. We got Stacks talking about. Did I get you on here? I gotta make sure we got battery life. I'll jump back on the phone for you guys if I have to. All right. So he was like one of the original guys hanging out down by Aldo's. He was an Ozone Park guy. And what we'll get. So he was like one of the first guys I remember walking into Aldo's, and he'd be screaming, "Aldo, grape soda. Give me a grape soda." I was a kid. Yeah, probably, Joe. Yeah, of course they did. They had a piece of the joint. Yeah, he did. Natural causes, nothing suspicious, just living. A lot of people, his demeanor and the way he came off, a lot of people, and as a kid, me neither, I thought the same thing. I remember him saying that, cash and get him out of here. He had a lot of years on me, Johnny Boy. And when I got older, he gave me, he said a few things that complimented the way I carried myself young, my teenage years until my 20s, my early 30s. And he gave me some sound advice, and I never expected it coming from a guy from Howard Beach, but he was well, beyond his time. Had to grow up fast and had a lot of younger siblings and younger cousins. He was the oldest out of all of them, if I'm not mistaken. and he did the right thing. Yeah, I like John Panisi. I don't listen. John may throw subliminals at me. John doesn't remember. Before he was doing the Tom show, he was trying to do his own show, and he did reach out to me about doing shows. Not saying that I was the guy he wanted, but I'm sure he was reaching out to many people. I guess he has his own show now. He was trying to do something like that before he had went on. So I have nothing against him. This is the last time I'm going to say it. He can throw subliminals. I can only talk what I know, and the older guys that I speak to knew of him, but not as a Lucchese Wise guy before that. And the Gambinos, I got a message. They just rather not speak about the man. Nothing to do with him cooperating or anything like that, but they just said that it was just not a conversation that they're willing to have. And that was it. So I don't, and I told Tom that I wouldn't do anything because I was a guest on Tom's show when it was Theory. Mark, I appreciate you. I was a guest on New Theory, had a great time, and off camera, me, Panisi, I think JC, Tom, we had a great time, and the next two shows I was mentioned in them shows, and then for some reason it took a left turn. I don't know, maybe his handlers told him that I was no good or something. I have no idea, but called me a hobo. Really? Send me that episode. Send me that link that he called me a hobo. Because a hobo is a homeless guy. Where one of my young kids used to say, you got to feel bad for hobos. They don't have cable. And my kids were young. He used to say that. So he called me a hobo. Hobo is a homeless man. That's how he feels about me. I can't speak on a man. Yo, Gazoo, 72. That's crazy. That was a good one. That was good. If that's the way the man feels, I don't know why. But if I hear it personally, then it'll give me a reason. But I don't throw subliminals. I told you. He was never, everybody thinks that jumping families thing was meant for him. It wasn't. So I don't throw subliminals. If I don't mention people's names, yeah, I know who you are, Jed. I just spoke to you yesterday. You don't think I have John P. talking about you? Well, you know I am on Instagram. You don't think I have John? He probably is. That's whatever it is. But like I said, I had a good relationship with Tom. I would never go after either the New Theory or the NBA and the Button Man at all. I respect Tom's game. I respect his just reading this New Theory interview and Gene. I rated the highest. I beat out D. Schneider in that interview. I think Tom does a great job as a businessman and a marketer. I got no problem, zero problems with Tom. I kind of think when they sent me the piece, Tom set John up to throw a subliminal at me, and everybody knew that. And yeah, I was wrong. I didn't think that he'd ever. I didn't think Tom would ever do that, especially after the conversation I had with him. And I told him I wouldn't come at any of them like that. I said I wouldn't come at his show. I have no reason to ever go at Tom. But setting him up to throw a subliminal out like that, what are you going to do? The one thing that I can do and know is that you could go through Ozone Park and Howard Beach and speak to anybody. And definitely my name will be spoken more than his. 100%. If he was away for however long or lived somewhere else, Ozone Park and Howard Beach, anybody can say whatever they want. Hootie was spoken. Everybody knew where the name came from. If they knew me personally, if they knew where I was, where I hung out, where I lived, that's just how it was. I was a guy that was out all the time, around all the time. Like I said, I was friendly enough with a lot of people. There wasn't a large presence for the Lucchese family, and that's where he generated towards. And now we're going to get off of him. Back to what I was saying. So I jump on. He's supposed to change the show to Hootie and Stacks. He doesn't. He changes the show like a sneak thief and a skell. You know what a skell is? Okay? We don't call people skells. That's a really bad word in the streets. That describes Stacks. He's a skell. Okay? And he could have dressed himself up. Like I said, he had a good woman behind him, professional, keep him on the right path, and he joined this mob genre, and all of a sudden, I heard that he started going to the thrift shop and, getting the donated suits that guys were donating, and started wearing suits and doing interviews. I put him in diesel jeans, Versace sunglasses. He came out with this pair of Adidas that I think Michael J. Fox wore in the first Back to the Future, talking about, yo, these are fire, right? And I'm just a nice guy, and I was like, yeah. And no, I wouldn't. I'd wear Patakis before I would have wore the sneakers that this guy wore. Gunner said Mazza and Aralata are real street guys. Will never listen to Hootie, can spot it from a mile away, or wannabe. Wannabe what? I'm not a gangster. And Mazza and me are okay. I got nothing but I've never met Aralata personally, and I got nothing but respect for that man. I know his work and I know his reputation. He's a very rare breed, because you can never find this in one person. He was a hitter. He was an earner. He was boss material, boss mentality, and legitimate mentality. I think if they would, everybody, if you don't know the story, that's the Genovese family. Yeah, he said he had 600 subscribers. I'd love to know where those were. And they were shaking down places that were already with them. And I would definitely give Aralata Benji back to the old school. Like they'd probably still be earning and working under his guidance, because he had the right game plan. And for where they were, because the city and the crime was a lot further behind New York, it would have been a tough time for them to catch up to him, because he was on New York's level of earning, and you could say maybe a Fortune 500 company or just beneath it, businessman as well. Like, don't shake down the places that are already with us. And they had people going up there and doing that, and he knew it was wrong, and he knew the hit on Bruno was wrong. He knew all of it, and very smart. So I don't see where Benji would ever talk about me. I don't have nothing with him. I had nothing but respect the man's game and how he carries himself. And I knew how he was carrying himself. You remember, he was a made guy and got treated as a boss. And he was up there with a crew. See, that's what you're supposed to have. A made guy is supposed to go out and get a bunch of guys. Usually you make a guy who holds court like a boss, where associates would listen to him. And I always go back to A Bronx Tale. Sonny. Sonny was a regular made guy, but he ran the whole neighborhood. You don't just start straightening out the local. Now, I say the local butcher, but then I also pay homage to that, because in Sicily, those are the guys that were made. Yeah, Gene got that MMA fight, 100%. I haven't seen him, but when I was seeing him, the guy does 6-hour day workouts. It's insane. So, going back to that, yeah, they straightened out the butcher, the barber, but that's how Sicily did it, because they didn't have, what was it called, the carbonara, if I'm saying it correctly, the Sicilian dialect word, the cops, the carbonara, I can't pronounce their word, were the cops, but they didn't have that yet, so they needed men to police the town, and it was called the Honor Society before it was called the Mafia. And like I said, it would be the butcher, the fisherman, the fruit stand guy, whatever. That's okay. But today, the butcher is an insult. That's what they're doing, right? So to me, I go back to that, where Anthony was like a made guy in Spring Mass, and he was the boss. He held court. People listened to him. He had hitters. He had earners. So it goes back to the Bronx style mentality, the Sonny. So you figure like Sonny was the boss of that area in the Bronx, right? Even though a lot of it was shot in Astoria. But let's just say in that area, that's how Benji had it in Spring Mass. It was him. Even if there was guys, I know guys that were captains, and I met the old man Artie as a boy, and Anthony held ground just as powerful as they did, and had that respect from the Genovese family. So I have nothing but respect for how he rolled in the streets. And like I said, personally, I've never met him, so and I don't think he's a person to have spoken about me, and not to Gunner, because Gunner talks behind everybody's back. Oh, listen, the guy's a professional MMA fighter. Gene's in great shape. I haven't seen him. Have you heard the stories of Eddie Garofalo? I know Eddie Garofalo. I know Eddie Garofalo very well. Now, tall guy, right? You're talking about tall guy from Cherry Hill, right? Olskun. I got a lot of. If that's who you're talking about, I have a lot of respect for that man. He's actually he's a street guy, but a working guy. Got jammed up in the truck business. That's the Eddie I know. He had a lot of respect with the Colombos, and a lot of respect with a lot of guys in the Gambino family. And he had a tremendous personality. I just thought he was an all-around, I thought he was an all-around great guy. I could say that from the short time that I spent with him on the outside. Yeah, he does, Mac. That guy will always be a straight clown. I got nothing with him. He can talk all the shit he wants, because he can't even be on my. He talks about people being on levels. He wrote 11 books. I don't know who wrote it for him, because if you hear the way he speaks, he's not intelligent enough to be on my level. And I don't talk like that about a lot of people, but that guy definitely isn't. All right, Earl, he might not have a chance, but he's going to go in there like a man and fight if he has to. I know that about him. I don't know, maybe you could go call him or interview him, because he can only talk to people that aren't, and his phone's monitored, so he can only talk to non-felons. So, okay, we'll get into that story. So, he comes to me. Maybe he had 121. I'm saying 21 because I'm just goofing on the channel. It had nothing. Whatever it had, people subscribed to it, and then that was it. And then there was no views. Done. So he said, can you come on, let me interview you, and we'll do a series. I says, all right, we got to make it the Hootie and Stack show. He says, it's done. He goes, I got a channel for it. I said, okay. Sneak thief move, jailhouse scumbag move, what you do to somebody. He keeps the channel chatting with Stacks, but names all the episodes the Hootie and Stack show. I go on, called me every morning. Now I'm trying to keep this guy clean, try to keep him off drugs. I'm working nights, working a couple hours during the day on my second job. Jackie D'Amico. Okay, we could just remember to bring these names up when I'm done with the story, and I could give you stories on all of them. Jelly Bean from the Blacklist. Treat yourself and take a look. Blacklist is actually probably my favorite show on TV. I think Red is one of the greatest characters ever created. And if I tell you how crazy I am, I don't know who that is. Maybe I know them under a different name. After Less Than Zero, I would never watch Spade in anything. Nothing. No movies, no TV shows. I remember I had no, guidance as a kid. So I watched anything. And even when my parents were alive, they didn't stop me from watching it if I was able to see it most of the time. None but love in Trenton and South Philly. You know, I'm always shouting out South Philly. None but love down there. I'll be down there soon, because that's something else I'm going to be talking about. I'll be down in Philly. They have two places I have to visit. One is a sneakers and card store, and if you don't know, I was trying to get it. Yeah, 421. We'll do that on another episode. Just remind me. There's a lot of stories about him. His family's alive and well, and he has grandchildren now. So I don't want to put any disrespect towards him. So I missed out on the stock. It hit $1.35 last night. We were giving out XRP. You all should have jumped on it. It was at 21 cents. I got in at 41. Got the account locked out. Went out on workers' comp. Couldn't keep the account up. It went dead. It went to like $1.34 yesterday. Missed out on that. I did a collab with a company that was a social club and card investments, not cards itself. You go buy and sell cards there, and I got very close with a lot of the. There's my man Ron Myers. You up? I see you in there. I got very close with a few of the workers, and they were showing me about baseball cards. Now, when I was a kid, it was the Bash Brothers, Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball was my favorite. The GOAT, Ted Williams, of course, is the GOAT. There's nobody I don't put above. That was the reason how Boston became my second favorite city, close to Philly. Slow down, Philly. And then, of course, Chicago is, people. Yeah, and, Bristol, I know, is a hood, but it's a hood that can be held at such a good standard and respect for hoods, if we're going to talk about that. And this is a guy that was sleeping on the floor in front of a statue and panhandling because they asked him to stop doing drugs, and then he could come home and sleep in a bed, and he decided to sleep next to a statue instead of going home and sleep in a bed over drugs. This is a guy I try to help, who was ex, who was a great person. I don't know if she's still in his life, but I hope she got away. But she was a good person, and he chased all the good people out of his life. I did nothing but help this man. He did nothing for me. Nobody knew the name Stacks until I went on the show. And I introduced him to guys that I reached out to that I didn't know personally, but through reputations. Got them on the shows. He's thinking he made all these connections on his own. And guys got me bouncing back and forth with stories again. And then you just, there's going to be a million comments. Hootie's all over the place. I'm trying to keep up with you this week with the questions so I can do my super chats during the week when I drop an episode for you guys. Ho, 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 what's up, bro? Dudes Jules. Mickey Boy NYC 85. Yeah, Stone. No, he's a skell. Listen to me, this guy's a skell. If he could have just shut his mouth when he did, and that video probably where him, an ex, and an ex-friend got 5 other people, started 10 fake accounts, and got 20 people to follow them on a junkie smear campaign. And they haven't stopped calling people. Stacks actually perjured himself. That's the court. That has nothing to do with me. He's the only cop caller that you could find. He can say what he wants on all these shows. He's putting up rats. You realize that this guy was in a gang and went away for nothing, right? And then, what are you talking about, dry snitching, bro? So he was in a gang, and he fed me, and then I realized this with his girl at the time. He's like Walt Disney. The stories that he could tell you. This is a man who's never been nowhere, who's never did nothing, and I try to show him the better things. And I would have probably had him on Vlad by now, who I have a good relationship with, actually, and his producers. and his editing crew. Because when I go in somewhere, I make sure down to the guy sweeping the floors, I give respect to. And I wind up making good with all of his staff. So I said, you know what? Let me show this man nicer things. If you take the train in, I'll drive you 3 hours home, even further. I said, but come in, I'll take you for a nice meal. I'll take you, Vlad is the Johnny Carson of late night, TV. You see all these guys, they might have more viewers, but nobody's had more stars on in the entertainment world than Vlad. Maybe these Johnny Come Latelys and a guy like Joe Rogan, but Vlad was a mixtape DJ, and he gets it. He gets it. And you got to remember, he's a Berkeley graduate, .com guy. He's no idiot, And I bring this guy, and he has a nice office up there. And if you listen to his videos, you can hear Stack's dildo hopping me. And then he wants to turn around and speak something else. The way how I approached the situation, how I knew who Vlad was. He was blown away. He thought Vlad was just a regular guy sitting in this office. He had no idea who he was. Didn't do his homework. He doesn't know who anybody is at this point. Everybody he knows is because I laid out the road for him, which that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want a pat on the back for it. And then I wanted him to go off on his own and find his lane and do that. But he wanted me to leave the JC and Hootie and JC show, stick with him. And, he was mad that I did merch with Hootie and JC first. No merch with him. Real kid shit, Even his ex wrote in an email, the clothes and everything that he was burning were his old clothes. He was actually wearing the diesel jeans I bought him while he was burning the clothes, okay? So he didn't know anything. And I'm gonna do stories on Middle Village, Maspeth, Ridgewood, the Giannini crew, the Vito Guzzo, who I don't really like to talk about because Vito's a serious guy and he takes the life serious still. Does he obey the rules? No, but he was an associate when he broke the rules, and they decided to still straighten him out. But anybody would have straightened him out. And the one thing I can tell you is nobody would ever tell Vito Guzzo, excuse me, I have to talk to a friend. Vito Guzzo was no joke. There was a lot of respect. Baldo Amato, the guy, which people don't understand, that was his cafe, the Giannini Cafe. He was left over from the Spiro days, the Galante. That was Galante's crew. I mean, guys, we could go into the whole story. We will one day. Bodyguards, who was there. The whole point, how Joe Messina became boss, not Spiro, not Amato, is because he was the brains behind it. Bruno was the muscle behind it, and they included them in the plan, which gave Rizzuto in Canada a lot of power. I could go through the whole story with you guys with that whole thing and how Joe got put into power and how Spiro and Baldo played the role in that. Now you have a guy like Vito Guzzo running around with stone cold maniacs at 17, 18-year-old kids under him, which were men, and they are executing and torturing people in Baldo Amato's cafe. Now, you don't tell a guy like that, while I talk to a friend. There's been guys who got accused of being where they weren't supposed to be and were highly respected in organized crime, but because they were where somebody says they were when they weren't supposed to, held them back from being straightened out. And you're talking about Vito, who you can't say because he revenged his father's death. That's not an excuse in life. Ambushed and shot a car up with, I don't know if it was too many guys and an associate, or I know one of them is a captain now. and was definitely made and got shot, Vito's not a guy you're going to tell he's not getting straightened out. I'm pretty sure the Bananas would have straightened him out. And yes, we're going to do that story as well with Gene's cousin. We're going to do that story. Me and Johnny Boy were close when he was young. When he got older, he ran with guys that didn't like me, even though they were so much older than me. Great deal of respect to Johnny Barillo's father, mother, sister, his family. Love his family to death. He was I remember Johnny Boy when we were kids. We go back to sandbox days. And that whole thing over a girl with Vito, and the Gambinos were supposed to protect Johnny Boy, went out the window because of a whole other thing. There was nothing they could have done, and Vito would never have killed Johnny Boy over a girl. I remember the messages, like this kid, said this kid better knock it off with the girl. This kid better knock it off, smearing my name. Or there was a lot of messages like that going back and forth before he got killed. So it wasn't over a girl. It wasn't over a girl. It was over something else. And he's probably one of the, listen, I don't know about hands-wise. He's got me in age. Seen him? Absolutely. Did I ever shake hands with him? No. Have I seen his work? Yeah. Probably one of the most serious guys you could ever run into is Vito Guzzo. He's not a guy that's meant to be played with. And I know I did a show a while back, and actually somebody went into that pizzeria, a legitimate guy, and had words with that guy as well. That's why I made that video. But me not thinking that one of those kids is no longer my friend, why would I even put myself out there like that? And I apologize for acting that way. But Vito, he has a real hot on for that kid, and I would just be careful, because you don't want to even play around with those names. His brother is just as ballsy and just as tough, and probably tougher and capable, and really don't give a fuck about nobody, either one of the brothers. That's a tough question. Joe, I know Vito's capable, and probably, I don't know. It was a lot, not that it was easier, but with the technology and everything, and Vito ran with a crew, so that he had that against him. Joe Watts probably did a lot of his on his own, but you don't want to mention either one of those guys' names. You don't. They're both on a different level. Joe Watts definitely probably has more bodies. So he comes to me. I do the show. We explode. We hit 1,000. This imbecile doesn't realize that I've been working behind the scenes before. I was never going in front of the camera. Ever. I've been doing charity work. I've been doing appearances for people. The whole 9 yards. This is where I did the collab with the t-shirts, and I got close with a couple guys in the card business. I wasn't able to get in on XRP at the right time, make the right kind of money, but I started to learn about the baseball cards. Somebody turned around, sports cards, not just baseball cards, sports cards. Somebody turned around, made a few phone calls, told somebody about my resume and the things I've been through, and garbage pailed me left and right, junkied me left and right, and that relationship ended. I stayed in touch with a few of the workers, but they're just workers. Ran into them here and there. But I learned enough to get into the sports card world, right? Now, before, everybody keeps talking about, clothes, jewelry, cars, this, that. The guy's an imbecile. I don't know how he's even entertained. He can't even interview. Halfway through an interview, he can't even ask the right questions. because he don't know the people. He doesn't know the life. But then he gets somebody like the Bold Sicilian, who's a recovering addict, who talks about it. That's his thing. And that's your wheelhouse now. You're a recovering addict, supposedly. So you should know every question they ask this man. He winds up interviewing himself and putting up rat things at me. Show the paperwork. You want to show paperwork now about me being scared to go back to my own neighborhood. Now, whatever, I don't know what kind of paperwork like that exists that I'm scared to go back. If things were the way they were before I got locked up in 2011, my life would be in danger. Of course it is. I'm already labeled. You're on here talking. I tell you this all the time. When a guy like Gunner comes on here and talks about a guy shooting another guy in the head for him, you're a rat. I don't care what anybody says. You don't have to testify. You don't have to wear a wire. If you're on here talking, you're a rat. If you're not from the life, if you're a Jerry Capisi, Tom Levecki, excuse me, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Scott Bernstein, any of these guys that go on and talk, Ali Cole, don't want to mention his name again, Supreme Sunday, and you talk about the life in that way. My first author, God rest his soul, that's why I chose him. He goes with facts, not, some people favor certain crime families, they'll write differently. Historians, you're not a rat, that's what you do for a living. If you ever spent one day in the streets and you're on here talking, and you see everybody complains about it because I don't like to mention dates and times and people's names in some things. I'm still not comfortable with it. That's who I am. But I still consider myself no good for being on here talking about it. So you can't come on here and say, so-and-so's my favorite rat. Or then you have the guy on your show and like your fans, I see people write, oh, he's a good guy. He's sitting here telling you he only had the guy on for views. That's abusing you. And he calls you a fan, not his supporters. Because without views, he's broke. He's broke without views. His books make no money. So when he comes on and he does that, and I don't even really want to talk about the guy because I don't know him. Just from him speaking and saying that somebody shot somebody for him and talking about it, you're a rat. That's a rat. That's what rats are. Okay? When you fuck your friend's girlfriend, that's a rat. When you rob somebody that you're close to, it's a rat. If you cooperated, you're a cooperator. If you testified, you're a cooperator. If you were a wire, you're on a different level. Bottom line, there's names for all of it. When I jumped off my global plea, I was no good. Whatever is said in that room, 88 Park. Oh, Muggsy, would you finally find your way on here? You know, who asked me the other day? Something. And I said, Magua. When did Magua pass away? Someone was asking me the date the other day. Because they said either the son or a stepson passed away from COVID or cancer. It's one of the C's. Bugsy. JC bought his shoes from Junior. What's that mean? Gazoo. I don't know what that means, buddy. So getting back to that. You almost made me lose my train of thought. There's a million things you are asking me today. So that's classified, right? We classify it, right? That's a rat. That's no good. I know what I did was no good. Okay? Did anybody I know go to jail or spend 1 minute more in jail because of me? No. Now, and the group that I was in on the global plea was a very good friend that I known since he was a kid. Had a lot of respect for him and his family. Was very upset with me. If I explained to him what it all meant and the legal terms, because a lot of these people didn't understand just as I didn't. Go over, can't see, easy. No, they're not easy to confuse. It's just that the guy was speaking 100 miles an hour, and he um he said he died. And when he said he died, it was the son, not the father. And went me. You don't hear nothing else. You know, a child is never supposed to pass away before their parents, and it's always a shame. It's always a sin. So after you hear that part, you know, my thoughts on the chin. I could do a whole episode on that, and you will tell me stop talking about John Senior. You know, like John Senior was judged for what he did, right? But I know that there used to be rules where if your brother was a cop, you couldn't be made. Some people, and this is the truth, straight from a captain's mouth, guys weren't considered making guys. Bud was a serious guy. You know, in the junkyard on Pickens Avenue by where I used to live. Um, if your brother or sister, and it was public that they were bi, homosexual, gay, whatever word we're using today, it would hold you back from getting made. Like there was people that would put certain things like that. As there's a certain guy that I know to be a tough guy who's just been mentioned, that I know to be a serious guy, and he's been held back. He might be straightened out by now. I don't know. My ear hasn't been. Yesterday I was in the old neighborhood, bungalow bar. I went to in Rockaway, and then on the way home I grabbed Hoan. So I didn't hear anything from the people I spoke to. I really didn't ask, but it would have came up. But he was held back from being straightened out, and he had 3 families that he was around, but he was with the Gambinos. And then you got a guy like Vito, where this guy was held back for almost 30 plus years because of a certain situation. And listen, which is what I try to say. Like, people apply the rules in that life when it suits them, not benefits, when it suits them, because it doesn't benefit you to get a good kick out of that, straightening a guy out that's supposed to be straightened out. The mafia, there's no such thing. When there was one, it was in Sicily. But if you're talking about the mob, maybe it is dead. But I can tell you this, the people aren't. That's why I tell you guys about like these YouTube beefs. I don't lose a second of my day of the whole smear campaign, of the whole lies about money, about this, about that. I got real beefs in the street. And not even talking about from my case, just from me being on YouTube and people still seeing me in my neighborhood that, you know, I'm chased, that I'm scared to go back to. So, with that, so, yeah, no one is holding back. Like I told you, Vito Guzzo was torturing and executing people in Baldo's Cafe. That's a Banano Cafe. That's who he hung out with. That's where he hung out with his guy, Paulie. I'm not going to say his last name. You all know him. He's a stand-up guy. He came home, went right back in. He got straightened out with the Bananos, and because that's the cafe they hung out in. I never thought that he was, because no one was ever looking for Chris. Chris is a tough kid, from my understanding. I seen him, actually, when I was down in Miami. I was very, very young at the time. I wasn't old enough to get into liquid. We wound up going to, I didn't even try or mention anybody's name or anything. I was with a bunch of kids that were my age that weren't involved in the streets. We were down there for the first time, 94, 95. I think it was a year after the Pope came to Aqueduct. Yeah, or the same, or that summer, or that winter. I think he came in October. Or did he come in the summer? The Pope came in 94. We all got to see the Pope. So yeah, like, I always thought he would be a Banano. Now, I was with a guy, Frankie Blue Eyes. Frank Blue Eyes was doing 20 plus years for the Colombo family. He wasn't straightened out. But he was a hitter. He was a hitter. Big time hitter in that war. Older gentleman. But I didn't recognize him when I finally ran into him. Lost his hair. and he was supposedly an MCC when Gaspipe held that ceremony. Now, I don't know if that Pope we had a lot of respect for. I don't know about all those stories about that. Pope Francis, John Francis was Pope John was our guy. His picture was hung in every social club I ever walked into. So I don't know all about that. He was in every social club, his picture. And these guys make me jump off of 1,000 things. I want to always get back to it. Did 72 most altogether. Thoughts. So, you guys, morale, bro. Can you see if the ambulance pronounced, etc.? Hopefully. Alright. You guys make me jump off topic. Do you want me to finish it, or what story you want now? Because you've got me everywhere. There's 1,000. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I give you enough content that we could do this for 3 years, and we'll stay inside the true crime genre. Because the Pope was betting horses at Hackett. No. So, I'll finish the story. Frankie Blue Eyes was an MCC when Gaspipe, he was one of the lookouts. Now, I also ran into a guy, and we'll get to that story as well, that he was standing outside when Gaspipe was doing an initiation inside a bathroom. Now, I know the Lucchese's are against it. A lot of their hierarchy, a lot of their tough guys, they don't recognize it. You know, they're not really Ozone Park guys or Howard Beach guys. They're more Manhattan. They had a big, no discredit to the Lucchese's, very strong family. And I think Little Vic runs it perfect with all the acting bosses, with him still staying on top, doing life for the life. So if Gaspipe didn't go off the rails like he did, they would probably respect the bathroom ceremony, but they don't. And I know from my understanding, from being told by Lucchese guys that I was locked up with, they can't, you gotta wait till you get home or you don't get straightened out. Where the other families, if it's a street boss, an acting boss, or a boss itself, you are any of those and you're in a compound and there's a guy that's doing a lot of years and not going home soon but deserves to get straightened out, they'll straighten him out. And the other 4 families have. And I'm pretty sure the 7, because there's 2 other families as well, there's 7 families that are noticed, probably do it as well, because the pricking of the finger, I know in Jersey supposedly they don't do that. I can't be 100% on that. I could tell you all favorite rat. Ron Line. Yeah, they got favorite rat. OZ rocks the house. William, you must be old school. That's what the Funhouse days. I used to hear about that. OZ rocks the house, yo. That was right when freestyle was kicking in, and guys didn't understand what hip hop was yet. Blondie and Fab 5 were killing it. Ultra testosterone. Christopher Drag. Chris Pachillo is fine. Is fine too. Nobody, I don't think, ever was looking for, or that whole situation, I don't think anybody was looking for Chris. I actually think that the kid Tommy took his time because he wanted to pay his debt back for doing that, you know. And that's why I hate when a lot of people, you know, like I said, I don't pick or choose people. I live in a different world today. I'm not going out committing crimes or robbing banks, so I don't care what a guy did in his past, as long as it's not a woman and not a child. I don't care. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Then women and children, you should hang from your balls. But you know, you always put Jimmy on that. You know, Jimmy may be the guy that rang the bell, and they might have had the wrong information, and Chris was the driver, and whatever happened was a big time mistake. And that kid's serving all his time for that, and not complaining about it. And that's all Chris did, was go in and tell the truth about that. I know there was a beef at a Miami game between him and Molino, but that's just Molino being a street guy. and seeing somebody who was no good. That's how you're supposed to react. Now, I don't know Molino. I know that he commanded a ton of respect from Jersey and Philly, and but what I know, Chris' reputation is a tough guy with his hands, and I know he could bust the guy open. I'm not saying, and I think Molino's a lot older than him, if not a little. I think because Chris had me by 5 to 8 years in between that. Because like I said, when I went there in end of '94, beginning of '95, that's when I was there. It was cool weather, wasn't that hot, wasn't that cold, and we wanted to go to Liquid so bad. We did hit the China Grill. Then we went to some underground hip hop. They weren't playing hip hop, I know that. And we wound up being at a hip hop joint. How many did you put in your hoodie? Well, when you spell my name right, I'll give you the answer. Okay, scumbag. R.I.P. Uncle Rocky Kawhi. R.I.P. S.I.P. So I know definitely the Lucchese's do not believe in that. So they, from my understanding, they never did it again. But I definitely know that the other families have. If there's a guy that, yeah, there's a story. Molino was in Marion, but so was Vito Guzzo. But Vito Guzzo's story goes with John Senior. So when you guys are ready to hear some John Senior stories, I'll tell you the Vito Guzzo John Senior story in Marion. Marion, it was supposed to be like a reception. You go in, it wasn't necessarily a reception, but it was like everybody they got flushed out into, the compounds. All right, we know. So you know my legitimate name. Like I don't hide my legitimate name. It's just easy to say Anthony. Like you make a big deal about it. Stop. I know who's got you on here doing that. She's never gonna win. Doesn't matter. Whatever do you think they're gonna do? Hootie is nuts. Gino Gianova is nuts about what? Whatever. So yes, there was guys, and then some guys when they come home, they they don't necessarily go through the whole ceremony, but they do it because some people don't want to recognize guys made in a bathroom. So they'll give them an official ceremony, but not the whole shebang if they can get, what do you make of Kane Shades attacking Gene and you on the show? Because you got a guy, if you go back and watch his first episode, I could tell you more about Gazelle Blanca than he can. He knows nothing. He's just another guy that got Taxi. I think he's wearing Danny DeVito's headgear from the TV show Taxi up there. We don't pay attention to people like him. It's beneath us. Why I'm even talking about this kid Stacks, for one reason only. Family again. You don't mention people's family. That's why he'll never be forgiven. I want nothing to do with him. I won't go near him. First of all, Stacks was one of those guys that was 900 pounds and then went on the crack diet and lost all the weight because he couldn't afford to eat. And whatever money he got, he smoked crack with, because crack's not a drug like heroin. And he's also very sick. Like I was actually concerned for him at the end of COVID when we were hanging out, and I found out about his sickness, that he could get really sick. But he goes to show you that guy doesn't deserve anybody's empathy, doesn't deserve anybody to care about him. If I would hit Stacks, I would go through his chest. His bone marrow, from all the fucking methadone and dope and everything else he's done, his bones crack. He cracks. This guy talks about fighting. He can't even move. Now, I've took my share of beatings. That's guys, and I think because most of my fights were in, Cruz, like against Cruz. My one-on-one fights, we don't need to sit here and talk about it when my record isn't that bad. And I don't have to sit here at this age and talk about fighting. He does. Okay? He was in a gang that he couldn't explain to me what they did. So when I explained to him that you were running around with I robbed a backpack once. It had a gun and drugs in it. I said, what'd you do? He goes, I sold it. What is that? You sold a gun and drugs. Okay. What did he go to jail for? For being an idiot. And he went to jail for being an idiot, and he would have told if he had somebody to tell on. Like, you see, what a lot of you people don't understand out there, guys have the opportunity to tell, will. And guys that want to tell, but there's nothing for them to tell on, go back to their cell and cry and throw up. See, you just keep asking, you just want to know from the inside. And then I get 20 dumbass people on here saying dumb shit. I'm giving you quality information here. You see guys like that, he's looking for somebody to tell on. Because he wants to get out and get that bag of dope. Or that $5 hit of crack. I promise you that. Okay? He's on here talking like a rat bastard. Putting pictures of rats up with no paperwork. First he started with, they had legitimate paperwork. Now he's got paperwork stating, I'm scared to go. This is all somebody in his ear that will never even sit across the table from him. That thinks he's a fucking bum from Bristol. That sleeps in the street. That I don't think I've ever owned my UGG. My one UGG triples the pair of sneakers that he tried to show me and thought was cool. You know, and I'm not putting the guy down. I'm abusing him. Because that's the way he wants to come at me. He has no idea what a decent meal looks like. And no, I'm not putting him down. I'm abusing him. So when people say, well, you just making fun of the guy because he has no money. No, I'm making fun of the guy because he won't do nothing with his life. I'm abusing him because he puts my name in his mouth. And this will be the first and last time I say it. He's a bum. He always was to be a bum. Nobody ever wanted to donate $2,000 to him. Now, that's where your buddy that I mentioned last week, Lee Cole, said, and Hootie withdrew $1,000 to $2,000 out of a business account. Stacks couldn't spell business account. Nobody ever donated money to Hootie. People bought shirts, and I sold them under price. So if they sent extra, $5 to $6 extra, it still didn't cover the shirts. And as JC, if he's on there, knows himself, I still have $900 in merch. That's left over from that. Okay? And I was going to do all the Stacks merch. Now, this was me working and laying the money out of my own pocket. Because Stacks didn't even have the $30 for the subscription for YouTube. To come to him at 1,000 subs and ask him for money, every time I checked in on Stacks was, Stacks, did you get money? If there's money in there, put it away. Get yourself something nice. Give it to your mother to pay a bill because you live off your mother. That's all I ever told that guy. I had no idea what money was coming in because the channel wasn't the Hootie and Stacks channel. He fronted, it was this chat with Stacks. But he left my videos up because his videos don't get no views. You go look at any video I'm on, they're all views. And it's, again, not me bragging. It's me abusing him. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm abusing him. All mine. Then, when we hit like 1,500 subscribers, which is nothing. I explained this to people already. You got to get to 5,000. I'm going to give people 5,000. And you need 50,000 hours of listening time a month to even get remotely a decent paycheck. For a guy living in the basement of his mother's house who won't contribute $1, that's a decent amount of money. I'll get up and I'm going to go to work for my money. I'm good. Just like I did to lay out for the t-shirts. Just like I was going to do for the Hootie and Stack t-shirts. But then eventually I was leaving both. But Stacks wanted me to leave the Hootie and JC show and move over to the Stack show when neither one of them was my future. JC has enough knowledge and he knows enough of the business to go on and do his thing. And Callie produces, writes, lighting, and films all over Las Vegas. You know what I mean? Stacks does nothing. Does nothing. You know what he does? He calls people and says, I got a PPE money coming. Can you loan me money? How can a guy have a PPE money coming when he don't own a business and he's never worked a day in his life? Crazy as can be. I'm going to get the interview of all interviews outside the methadone clinic, and then smoking a cigarette, wearing sunglasses I gave him. No, I'm not bragging. I'm abusing him. That's what this has come to. Now we're going to get to the next part. This idiot wants to go and say child support. What does that mean? So now it's, you got paperwork that I'm a federalist. You got paperwork that I'm scared to death to go back to my own neighborhood, which don't exist. And now you got paperwork about child support. What do I care about that? What do I care about any of them? Okay. And just like everybody else who don't see their ex, the state takes it out of my check. So I got child support. What do you want? You trying to like Eminem Rabbit? Want me to jump the gun before you? Like in the battle? Like, are you kidding me? You're retarded. The things that you say. And I don't mean that against people with disabilities. It's just a slang word. Okay? The guy just is whacked out. And it's the drugs. He got so paranoid from talking shit about me that he called the cops. And I never responded until he said something about my parents that only one other person ever said it before. And then I realized it. He's working with a girl in California. He's working with an ex. He's working with a couple other people. And did I down talk the woman who he was going to? No. What I down talked it was that they were only helping drug addicts. People that were really homeless and didn't have nothing, they weren't doing nothing for. I was not disrespecting that woman whatsoever. Because I was the guy that he called because he was scared to death. There was drug dealers in her building where she lived, and he needed them to be gone. And I was driving to Bristol to help get rid of them. But you know what he said? Don't do that. Can you call anybody in the FBI? That's your boy Stacks. I said, no, I'll come and I'll help him myself. No, let's put a case on them. Get them like watched. Can we do that? That's your boy Stacks. See, that's a rat. Yeah, you don't want to buy kids, you don't want to buy schools, but if you got somebody in a building where an elderly woman lives selling drugs, go in there like a man and handle it yourself. No, he has to put a case on them. That's what I attacked. Then I will never put, which I don't have, is family. I don't have family. It's me. But I would never put my family on here. I do have children. I don't need to put them on here and put their business with me or my business with them. My kids are grown. So when he says kids, he doesn't even bring his kids up. This is YouTube. And you guys are at war, not me. I shut my computer down and make an episode and put it up for everybody to enjoy. You kind of low life. He's in good standards. Oh, people, this is what you're going to learn a little something about your boy Stacks. And then you can figure this out on your own because you can go find out. He has a child that he's never paid $1 for his whole life. She has an illness that she is, because of him, not helping her grow and getting her the things that she needed as a child, is 8 years behind mentality-wise. And you know what he's worried about? Beefing online instead of getting her the proper help. They have her in a state facility and a lifetime restraining order against Stacks. Now, you go look up what a lifetime restraining order against a parent means. And this is the guy that you just want to shout out. You guys with little kids and daughters at home want to shout this guy out. His ex did the right thing because from him, he's never contributed $1 to her. Brought her by when she was able to get out of the home to see him. And after the visit, he had, and that's what I'm not going to put out there. The things that he had to say afterwards. Atrocious. This was a man I knew I had to get away from. I couldn't help. Straight trash bag. You know what a skull is? That's the lowest form a person can be on this earth. That guy's a skell. So even the people that are putting a barrier in his back to perjure himself, that someone would think about $2,000 donate to his account that I would take out, I don't have no accounts. So that guy that you just want to keep shouting out got a lifetime restraining order against him from his child, who has a disability where she's almost 8 to 10 years behind in age, maturing wise, because of his drug use and because of the father that he was. See, don't come after me and try to talk to me, because I'm an open book. I'm an open book. Yeah, I got a lot of exes, and they all want to throw daggers at me. I got baby mamas. They all want to throw daggers at me. But I ain't got shit compared to what that guy's got. That's a guy that should be hung on himself from his balls. Okay? And when he says, oh, this guy goes around talking about it. No, you shot the same dope that your ex shot. Her body couldn't handle the fentanyl that was in it, but yours could, because only the scumbags survive. You did, she didn't. That's your dope that you were trying to sell online. Do you remember? You tried to be an online drug dealer. How's that for you? This is the guy you just want to shout out. This is the guy that's going to do a mafia tour and doesn't realize there's no such thing as the mafia. Right? He doesn't know that it's Cosa Nostra all the life. He still thinks it's the mafia because he's got a great uncle somewhere that's Italian. And I try to help this guy until I heard that. And then he attacked JC because he got in. I tried to put them all together in an interview, and JC was just above him. That, he couldn't cover the interview. And Stacks got so mad, he jumped off the interview when I jumped on. And from that day on, after I spoke to him, he hated the Hootie and JC show. That was it. He was done. That guy don't know what he's talking about. He just went on and on and on and on and on. It's the first and last time I will ever speak about this man. He's a garbage pail lowlife. Okay? He can come and see me anytime he wants. Okay? I got nothing with him. Because he'll call the cops again. I got nothing with him. No beef. I don't want him near me. I'll catch Hep C if I touch him. I'll catch all the Heps, the TBs, and everything else. This guy would rather sleep on the floor in the church corridor than in his own bed because he don't want to stop getting high. And I did everything I can for him. And he talks about, we were trying to, first of all, when somebody seen me on Facebook before I closed it down, because we wanted to get a bulldog, which was my idea to be a mascot for the show. Once we got a more professional setting, and so we were going to do a GoFundMe for the show. That didn't work. But a lady contacted me who lost her dog, that passed away. Bulldogs don't have a long lifespan. And wind up finding this Hurley's something. It's where you can adopt a bulldog. I don't fall under the qualifications because of my past record, criminal history. But there's a lot of things like fences, and there's a lot of things. It's really crazy because I actually signed for a neighbor who she had passed as well. But for her dog, she was adopting a dog, and she put me down as a reference. This is Anthony Russo, living out east, working 2 jobs, being an upstanding citizen, paying my taxes, and doing what I was supposed to do until I came on YouTube, and not even people from my old life, just people from my life trying to destroy it, trying to discredit my, what I've been through in my life. You can't change it. I lived it. I've been through it. You can think what you want about it. But I was there. And the content's going to be there. The stories are going to be there. We're coming up on an hour and 14 minutes. So yeah, we're done with him. Just think about that. He's got a lifetime restraining order against him. And then he gets one visit with his child, and the disgusting things that came out of his mouth turned my stomach. And I thought he was on the right path because he was dating the right woman, who I had nothing. I never had her phone number, nothing. She's an upstanding citizen, very prominent in her area and very well known throughout her community, and participates in the mayor, whoever's, becoming counts very high in her community. And we exchanged emails over content because she was trying to actually look out for him by checking into me. And once she met me and seen what I was trying to do for him, she approved it, that we had a friendship, and seen that I was trying to help him. And the only thing that came across were pictures and content and him doing nothing but talking great about me, where he practically begged to sign a non-disclosure when you go into Vlad TV. He wasn't even in the show. But he was like, I want to sign something, like a little kid, and he wanted to play with a pen. We had to stop the show 3 times because of the noise he was making, because he can't sit still. He has an anxiety issue. He's scared of everything. Scared of everything. He has phobias for everything. You can't take him anywhere. He's just a ball of anxiety. He said he was going to go to Vegas to do the Mafia tour, but he was going to leave a month before by train. Because he's scared to drive and he's scared to fly. The gay is getting shout outs by people that really don't know what they're dealing with. And I seen it firsthand and knew I had to get away from them. It just happened to be that me and my other show had a falling out over nonsense. You can look past that. That's why you never see me go hard at that. And I will never speak about this skull again. 1,000 subs. I've gotten over 10,000 subs with the shows I've built. And I never wanted to go in front of the camera. This was never my idea. In my mind, I never wanted to do this. I wanted to be behind the scenes to help people. They can say what they want. There's no money in this. I'm in the red the whole way. And they want to talk about the clothes I wear, the things I own. That's right. And I go out and I work for them. Nobody donates them. Nobody sends money. There's no business accounts. There's no money being drawn. Nowhere. 1,000 subs, where's the money? He don't get enough viewership with all the subs he's got to earn money. And as you know, JC's went on many a times. And even though we don't hang out and we're not friends, he'll go and tell the truth. And anywhere, because somebody wanted him to perjure himself and sign a fake letter. This is the type of stuff that I'm dealing with outside of YouTube. About people trying to put me in positions of wire frauds and tax evasion and the dumbest shit ever, which it's never going to happen because I pay my taxes and I work a regular legitimate job. And as much of an idiot that he was acting at Vlad, I still made sure some of that interview was about him. I did shout out the rest of the people at the time on my platform, but it got cut out. Vlad doesn't do promotion. I was able to squeeze 2 people, 3 people. Well, one I was asked a question on, and I mentioned that. And the other 2, I went out of my way to put into the content. And one of them repaid me, supposedly because he heard that some other stuff. I don't know. Somebody's manipulating accounts. I have no idea. I don't pay attention to any of that, nor will I. This is the last time that Stacks was on Vlad. No, he came with me, and now he wants to knock it because he wrote Vlad, and Vlad was like, "You're an idiot. I would never put you on my show," and chased him away. And now he's talking bad about it. When he was up there, the guy had a thing of pretzels. He was begging for pretzels. I'm like, "I'll take you to dinner. Relax." Just a total child, and I still shouted him out because I was trying to explain to Vlad and give him a plug for the 3 million views that I got to get the guy out there a little bit, so I can just get him a lane or something. I try to get him to edit I tried to get him to do a ton of things. And now he's working with another girl for some reason that has a hard on for me. And she helps him destroy his own life because they can't hurt me. As many papers as they sign, as much as the BS that they do, listen, you can say whatever you want. I got the texts, the emails, the pictures, and everything else. It don't matter to me. And I try to help all of them. But you just want to go out there and support this kid. He's worse than a junkie. He's got a lifetime restraining order against him. I think it's even called something else, where he can't go near his own child. My children, if they choose not to talk to me, that's up to them. I pay my support. I do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not on here explaining myself. I'm not on here patting myself on the back. I'm on here abusing Stacks. Okay? He knows where I am. Knows where to find me. Knows where I go eat. The scaredy cat that's scared to go. He knows I only go back to get to eat at certain restaurants. I don't need to ever go back to my old neighborhood ever again. There's nothing there for me. SM. Why don't you say who you really are? On his worst day, makes Hootie look like a bum that he is. That's why Hootie is so jealous of him. Yeah, I got no jealousy in me. That's one thing that don't run through my body. Sorry, buddy. That's just go get a real account. And SM, you know where I am because I know who you are. Your fake ass account. Hey, Joe Karate, I know we don't agree on a lot of shit because you're a ball breaker, but they're going to put me in a state one as soon as I have my first stroke. So I'm right with you there. See? I leave guys on here. I'm not like these guys. I don't need to click you off. Do you know where I can get... What's an onion? Where I can get an onion? Bad apple. What's an onion? You know what they used to call onions? It said to say that years ago was the Asians that came over that immigrated here in the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Stacks is whacked out of his mind. Whacked out of his mind. If he ain't he's smoking crack and I don't know what it's called. Methadone, I guess. His bones, listen to me. Bones. You know, so people that get high and do dope, you go like that, you can smash their whole elbow in. Anywhere. Anywhere. That's why I would never hit Stacks. He'd end up in a coma. SM's going hard, Ultra. I haven't seen any of his thing. John has a millionaire friend in Tom. Hootie has nobody. You're right. Okay. So you got to... Now, this goes to show you this statement right here, right? I live in a studio. I drive a 15-year-old car. I'm okay with my life. I don't have to steal to get what I want because anything I want, I can get. I live within my means. And it just happens to be nice things. John has a millionaire friend in Tom. Hootie has nobody. That says everything. That's where you're wrong. That says everything how much of an idiot you are. Because to have a millionaire friend can address the type of person you are. How many times a person do you think they've ever met? Which they are friends. I'm pretty sure they are. But they met through YouTube. You don't think anybody can make a relationship on YouTube? You don't think that I can jump on a millionaire and make a show to, you know how many people want to be famous that would love the subscribers that I got? My supporters are the best. I don't care how many there are. They would love to have these supporters. One day, I'll sit and I'll show you guys my supporters and what they watch. And it only gives you the percentage, and that's all I'm worried about. If 70% of my supporters are watching all true crime stuff and not mob genre, I'm good. I'm good. Because when the feds come kicking in the door and talking about I glorify the life, I'm not even in the genre. Stacks is like a vampire. Only he lives off the semen of the mob rats. So, SM, I thought I knew who you are, but now I realize how much of an idiot you are. You can't be that person. Who I'm coming to see you. You'll never have some nice pastries. Veal Parmesan from South Philly. Listen to me. So then when I'm coming into Philly, because I want to do Kensington. I want to do an interview there with somebody. I'll come to South Philly and see you, Joey Karate. We'll be bunkies, bro. Joey, why did I keep you on here, Joey? Because I know even though you come at me, you got some good stuff. You never hit below the belt. You hit just right. You hit below the belt, I got no time for you. That's classless. At least Hootie is a hobo. Am I? Fin freak? Am I a hobo? Did Lisa Lowe ever sign on? My girl, she's... You know what FBI means, right? Forever bothering Italians. The guys in England say that all the time. That shout me out. How's the forever bothering Italians do? That's doing. That's how they always say. Joe Karate. How old are you? Ultra, Joe Karate. Who even knows who that is? He's just always on here to break my balls. Canarsie, Dennis, I got none but love for Canarsie. Marine Park, and even though I'm up to only the fourth person I know in Marine Park. And that's why I need to definitely jump back on a few things. Just want to make sure I get you guys, because I'm going to be doing a live during the week to shout out the supers from last week. So I'll post that so you all sign on. So I'll answer all your questions one-on-one. Yeah, I'm scared. Who do you scared? OZ, Christopher. Oh, ounce. Where do I get an ounce? You spelled onion before. Nah, I don't. Listen to me. I got out of the drug game when I came home from my state bid. When they picked me up, I was only bookmaking. Drugs have been done. Even though they hit me with a ton of shit. For drugs. Why you lie? You see? ANTMAN, apostrophe S, die lines. Why you lie and say you don't pop perks? From my understanding, you guys were posting a lot about those, and then someone wrote they don't make them no more. So why you guys even posting things that they don't even make anymore? Why can't we listen to the NBA and Hootie? Why not? I never told anybody not to listen to that show. I would never. I swear, I keep telling you that I would never. I told Tom when this all happened, and then he set the subliminal up, which wasn't right, and I still won't tell people not to do that, not to watch this show. Go ahead, get as much knowledge as you want. He explains Culture Nostra to the way you guys want to believe it is. J. Edgar Hoover was hiding behind the closet. Yeah. Nobody answered the question. What question? You didn't write a question. I'll answer. Nobody's scared of you, buddy. Die, whoever you are. You're putting perks up. I have no question for that. SM. I don't hate on anybody. I just told you I have nothing bad to say about the man. DZ. Appreciate you loving the content. I'm going to keep bringing it solid for you. What's worse, a kidnapper or an informant? I don't know. I mean, the person, I don't know if that was his crime. I didn't see paperwork. I don't see paperwork. I don't know if I don't see it for myself. But I think, listen, if you want to change your life and you cooperate, that's on you. But if you choose to take a paycheck and inform or wear a wire on any situation, we're not talking about we're talking about true crime genre here. That's something I don't believe in. Oh, that's what they're saying, Ultra? Perks? Yeah. No, I like nice things, so I'd rather spend my money on a babe case for my phone than or a Supreme case, right? But now I'm gonna get back to what I was telling you guys. Lee Cole blocked me. Joey, I thought you were down with him. He blocked you. Why does that guy block people? Oh, he don't want people. He doesn't have thick skin, I guess, Joey. He blocked you. You've been going off on my show since I started. You're on here. When's the last time you seen? Oh, here we go. That's, again, they want to go. the X, Stacks, and the 5 other people. This is the only time I'm going to do a show like this because I'm never bringing this stuff up again. Hootie, San Antonio, Texas Military, USA sends blessings and success. Richard, nothing but love down there in San Antonio. David Robinson territory, right? Getting into these cards now. Just learning on my own, right? So I was gonna show you a quick thing, right? So what I used to do when I first started, I'd go into Supreme and I'd buy a shirt for $20 back in the day. And they opened in '94. I'd take the train into the city. Nobody had style like that in the neighborhood, right? And I'd come back with like a Bruce Lee shirt. I can't remember exactly what it was. Bruce Lee or the Warriors. Those are like my 2 favorite movies because I wasn't into that fake mob movie stuff. Joy Karate, you're always welcome here, no matter. I tell you, as long as you don't hit below the belt, family, we're good. You can say whatever you want bad about me. Hey, Cole will block you for the slightest thing. What happened to Johnny Bird? Your natural causes. Passed away in his own bed. You are all good, Hootie. Appreciate you. Miss can't be wrong. You never wrong in my eyes. SM. Good, Hootie. That's what I want to hear. No, don't make punks. John got a button from Marty. I don't know. John doesn't come off like, first of all, I don't know if he's a hitter or an earner, but he's definitely not a punk. Like, the guy's personality, he's definitely not a punk. And in speaking to him off camera, he was a gentleman. I don't know why you guys keep saying jealous and hate. I have none. Listen, he spoke bad about me, and so I heard the subliminal. I took it. I got thick skin. If I hear certain things coming at me, I'll come back. Yeah, Manny Madonna, yeah, I know what you meant, SM. Even though you're on here disrespecting me, now you want to talk nice. But that's what this channel is about. I'm not going to cut nobody off. I know he didn't ever spend, for some reason, and I'm not necessarily sure, more than 5 years of his adult life on the streets. Mr. Madonna. Matty, the horse. I think that I did get to see him. There was the hierarchy of the Lucchese family. Before there was Mateo's anywhere, the original one was in Roslyn. And as you know, that's how I grew up. I had older friends that would take me to nice places and teach me about food and drinks. And I always tell you about this. And that was one of the places, I think I was 15. I think I was 15. And I think he was there. Somebody said that Manny Madonna was there. I know the upper echelon of the Lucchese family was there. This is going back now. He was a younger man at the time. I was 15. I don't think I was 16 yet. And I definitely know that, there was, Stevie Wonder, those guys were there. And somebody said he was there. The only thing I've seen on Matty was when his hair was white. Back then it was darker. If that was him, but it was definitely Lucchese guys there. And that's why I told you I respect how Little Vic does things. And they don't, from my understanding. I can't speak on the Lucchese family because I'm not a historian or an expert on anything except what I see with my own eyes. Their structure. He's doing life for the life, and he keeps putting the right people in position to be boss. And he hasn't been brought up on any new charges, so he must be doing something right with that family. Time's got to stick together. Oh, Al, Prophet, Jan, Gaddy. If you want, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, a legend as well. That was my era. So what happened now is I don't have the people behind me that would have had the knowledge for this stuff anymore because somebody ruined that relationship. So I went on my own, and this is what I would do, right? First, if you can't see, I'm going to try to back it up because of the sun. But what I would first do, it's kind of hard to tell. I have only dealt with Flight Club. I dealt with Grail to grab a few hats and some Gucci stuff, but never out of my own pocket in years. No money. So this is StockX. Do I promote StockX? They changed a little bit over the years. When Josh was the CEO there, it was really good. Now the fees went up a little bit, so they're just like Flight Club. But now they got everything. They got watches, anything Bape, Supreme. You can get Gucci, Off-White, which I absolutely love. But this is all, I would get the items. This is my whole list. And I can tell you my history. So I don't have to spend any money out of my pocket to wear all high-end urban wear. Right? But now, since I got screwed on XRP and I wasn't able to get the right money out of that, I take the StockX sales. And you know what they sell? They sell cards. They sell Pokemon. They sell sports cards. They sell it by the box. They have special deals. So I'm learning from StockX. Now this is a moment for everybody at home. If you're running short on cash or you get stuck if there's another pandemic, get to your local card shop or get on StockX. You gotta be brand new. Go wait. Two times I waited online. Supreme box logo. You're gonna pay $42 for a $300 shirt. You might as well wait online for it. And one other time. But pick up your stuff. Bape is now on Madison Avenue. They're no longer on Green. Jump on StockX. Drop it on there for double. Wait 2 months. That's how you get started. One item. And then roll that if you want to build your gear. Roll it into your gear. You want to build a portfolio, but use sports cards. Now, Formula One, I'm a little affiliated with soccer, much more better with than I was. Old baseball, old basketball, some football. I jumped off the sports team for a while, so I'm not with the Lucas and the Trouts. I don't know which ones. But I was able to pick up, and I'll show you next time, is a collab that for free eBay and DJ Ski were doing. And you could go down when I was visiting the group that I want to see do well in Vegas and perform on stage. I was able to pick up from eBay. If you signed up every day, you'd get a different one. And it was a pack of 4. I usually say I got the luck of a dead man, but I got lucky. I got 4. It's all about cards, trying to tell you people how to invest if you want to walk around with box logos and Yeezys and you're working a regular job. I started out with Flight Club. I had an AOL account, didn't even know how to use my email at the time. And then StockX opened and my world changed when I came home from prison. I learned about StockX. And I'd flip an item on StockX and I'd get my money back and I'd be able to buy another item from StockX. Because I'd go on late at night, like 3 in the morning, when somebody was desperate and looking to sell. Because now eBay's listings and they charge you tax on used items. You're better off going with StockX. I'd get double for what I paid for the item, get my money back to invest again, and then buy myself what I needed. Off-White, t-shirt, box logo, hoodie, whatever it was. So I'm just giving you guys a little bit. This all goes with the street. Like, you need to earn a few dollars. Go wait in line. Cop that limited edition Bape watch, that box logo for $42. In 30 days, you'll be selling it for $300. Those are the only ones that jump that high. But anything. Someone, not the buds, someone special to me. Someone special to me gave me that. But the case, I wind up getting I don't have the other, free. By selling a Supreme case. And my money back. So that's what you do without having to spend any money. So if you got your sneaker game, your t-shirt game, your hoodie game in the right areas, you go to StockX. Now, if it's a one wear or two wear, Posh is good for like 10 wears. But Grail, they'll take it as well. I've done. Posh was a little sketchy, but I would still work with them on selling, not buying. Grail is good. You catch somebody slipping. Now, people want to say this all happened when I started the two shows. I was wearing a limited Supreme sweatsuit I paid nothing for on my first interview on the John and Gene show. Nothing. Because I bought a white one and I sold it for double. And I didn't even have to wait in line. It was a collab between Lacoste and Supreme. And I never had to wait in line. And I had an all white one. I thought Puffy was going to invite me to one of his last white parties. Then somebody told me it was the white parties ended 10 years ago. And I realized how stupid the purchase was. I was just fresh home. And StockX put me on. And I got double for it. So I wound up getting the green one for nothing and my money back. And that's where it started. So when all these people talk shit, the first thing I make sure is my gear is tight. And it was tight way before anybody came along and tried to help me. Which I was trying to, the opposite, was help them. And some of them were good already. They just needed a little bit. I had a little bit of a name from being interviewed on all the interviews. And that can boost and show you the talents that these other guys had. It just happened to be the guys on the West Coast were much more talented than Stax. And Stax is, left holding the needle. So, truth, facts here, lies over there. And it just keeps coming. The beefs I got out here is nothing compared to these YouTube beefs. I got no beef with anybody on YouTube. There's two guys. Lee Cole knows what he needs to do. And Stax will never be a friend. I'll never go near him. He'll never be a friend. When you were in the social club as a kid with Big Paul, what stood out about him? I was never Hood. I thought you was on the right track, Hood boys. Come on. You know I was never around Big Paul. That was the 70s. This guy became boss in 76. I wasn't even born yet. Come on. New York, Hood. Don't do that. You better than that. I know you are. Hootie, the type of guy that farts under the blanket and sniffs while grinning. All right. Well, now, when I kept saying, good big announcement, big news, big this, big that, was the collab between me and Gene Barillo. That got shut down with his violation, and now he's, which, that was some, whoever did that was some sneaky shit, because whoever knew his stipulation was he was allowed to be on a channel that he already had, went, and I don't know, I zero know, you can hack my, listen to me, people are showing snapshots of text messages of me talking that I've never even said, so anything's possible. No, Grand Theft Autos, what is that? You talking about the video game? So with that, they know he can only have the channel he already had before his violation. That's why he was able to make the videos he did. And then they hacked him. I don't know how it gets done or whatever. I can only speak to his family, so he just can't get the channel up and running, and he can't make a new one because that's a violation. Got to be only the original channel. And he was good. He was in the safe zone. So somebody knew that and tried to bait him, I guess, by making a new channel. He's not going to fall for that, make a new channel. Listen, he did. Anybody that would say and go online and say, well, we hope they don't find out, We hope they don't know. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Oh, he's not supposed to be making this. He's not supposed. Don't say nothing. So it was definitely somebody that was opening their mouth online about it. Just don't say anything. Don't say, I didn't get him in trouble. I didn't do nothing. No, you did by mentioning it. Don't mention it. So until he's able to resolve the issue with the channel, yeah, you know, what is it? The Motor Blue 3s, I think, the last ones, and some ones. I got 2 box logos. I traded 1 box logo, a gray one, a gray box logo. I got the Motorsports. No cash. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Get out there. Hootie, you ever beef with? No, that guy wouldn't, all jokes aside, he wouldn't even be allowed in the same social club as me. That's just not the type of guys that we hung out with. You should take your own advice. And what's that? Yeah, the Racer 3. I think they got the blue, right? Yeah. Yep. Did you guys do GTAs back in the day? New York Hood, tell me what a GTA is. Grand Theft Auto? I don't know. You're talking about airbags and stuff like that? No, I wasn't a thief. But I did broker a few deals for parts. Stop talking about stool pigeons and stop talking about the neighborhood. There's nothing in the neighborhood to talk about, stool pigeons. As long as you respect John for being a former main man, I'll be able to listen to. What are you talking about? I never said he wasn't a. You guys have to stop with the rumors. I never said he wasn't a May guy. He explains the life one way, I explain it in another. But my podcast isn't about that, so there's no reason for it. I'll stay exposing you. All right, that's listen, how about you do this? I don't have nothing bad to say about either one of them guys, but stay exposing me. Do me the favor, because there's nothing to expose. You're a clown. You hung up with rat. You hung out. You hung with rats. Your skipper was a rat. No. Your question is retarded. And I mean that. Or do you have a favorite drink? If I do drink, new friendships, everybody knows that's a Sicilian thing is a sambuca. And if I do drink, and I'm going to do an episode. After I do the next 2, I'm going to do the episode on not accepting a drink from a May guy. Because I wasn't Grand Theft Autos. No, I didn't. It was big in my neighborhood, but they had our auto crime. And auto crime used to come down hard. Give you a beating. Even warrant squad. I got punched in the face at 16 by the warrant squad. They were looking for somebody. And I guess I got wise. And I think the guy's name was Matty. The head of the warrant squad punched the shit out of me. It was like the 3rd time I've ever been hit by a cop. These guys crossed every line because they didn't care about the chain of evidence. If they were looking for someone, they would just... When people are focused, when cops are focused in on their job, so the warrant squad, they don't care if you're smoking a joint or if you're smoking crack. They're looking for who they're looking for. And that's the bottom line. They'll search your car. They'll catch you with something. They're there to find whoever skipped out. And back in the days, it was running rampant. But no, I brokered a few deals for car parts between junkyards, and I had the ear and the respect of a very respected junkyard owner, and he wouldn't deal with a lot of the young kids. Me and him got along very well, and I made a lot of money actually. You're gonna end up flipping. He ain't doing 10. He did. From my understanding, he's done 3 already in his house. That time is gone, wasted. I know it's. Listen, you can't compare being locked up in your house and being locked up in jail. But if you can't move, you might as well have just started your bid, and that's that. You know what I mean? Like that's torture. The unknown. The unknown is torture. Why would I be on the BOP website? Please be honest. Jason Styles. By the time I got sentenced, I was halfway done with my time. What are you talking about? I got sentenced like everybody else. What did we get sentenced in 25? I don't even remember. It's on the site. Just Google it, and you'll see the group of people that I pleaded out with. It's all right there. Just look for my plea. Just look for my cop out. All the upper guys, I think, fled out after us. That one, it was A, B, and C. I think I was B. First the C's went, then we went, then the A's went. Joe, I say Junior, at love you talking about Ronnie One Arm. Yellow Red Bull, my fave. I should have got the bigger one. Because it gave me no energy. And it was a good boxer. But Junior is a bug weight lifter. What's bug weight? Joey, I know me and you don't agree on a lot, but what's that mean? A bug weight lifter. I don't know. I never heard that before. And yes, he was a very good boxer. Hootie, come on, man. Answer this. Hootie, why are you not on the BOP website? I have no idea. Only rats are not on it. All right, well, listen. Just find... I consider myself no good already on a rat. So just do me a favor and just find the paperwork where I put somebody in jail. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I'm not going to bring that up again. It's the last time we talk about that. An hour and 51. We're shutting this down, guys. We're going to do a live for the supers this week. I hope he's got a lot out of this episode. All right. I'm not mentioning these people ever again. I mentioned the low-life scum. I told you what he is. I told you what he got against them. You guys want to listen to people that are scared to go back to their neighborhoods, that kind of paperwork. You guys want to listen to people about marital issues. Are you guys insane? This is true crime. This is YouTube. Come up with some real shit. I got real beefs out here. I got real problems out here. Okay? I don't have little kids at home. My kids are grown. Like, whatever. And whatever they choose to do, and it's the last time I'll ever bring them up, they choose to do. I can't make their decisions for them. So you don't have to ask me why aren't they being spoken about, because I'll never speak about any of my family members on here. I hate to talk about guys that I still got love for on here. That every week I end up with 100 comments on how come I won't mention full names, how come I won't mention times and dates. Tammy, I see you. You got to sign on to this. I haven't seen you. When's running? About 6 years, Joey? Maybe 7. Halfway house, I think. It was me and Pat that brought them to Louis. You ain't ever changing, Sandra. You ain't right. Who? Why? Tell me why I ain't right before I shut this down. Ever changing sense? Just give me these reasons. This is the only week you are ever going to get this from Hootie. I stayed off the beefs. I stayed off the bullshit. I shut down and gave you guys all time to calm down and relax. Fistful. Oh, big weightlifter. Okay. You and I. Yeah, he definitely was all the time from I remember when I was younger. So, I'm going to give you the quick one that we didn't jump back to. 2 things. Me and Gene had a bunch of ventures going out. The pop culture thing, the new stuff, what was going on, how the changing in tides, coming home from something like that where I just went crazy and started eating, gained a bunch of weight, didn't care, then got myself healthy again. We were going to do a bunch of pop culture stuff that involved Cosa Nostra, and in my street days of selling drugs and being in the streets in a diverse area, going to any neighborhood from Brownsville to Soundview, things like that, and then his way of life, and then we were a bunch of other things. He's married to the John and Gene show. That's his love, that's his respect, that's his brother. I would never take that away. These were ventures that we were going to start. So when I kept saying big news, these were the big news we had, a lot of things planned out. He still has whatever he's going to be doing with documentaries and stuff on his own because we can't see each other. So he's got a bunch of stuff planned. I'm sure it's going to get out there through somebody. Yeah, they did. Little Peter, when he switched the tides from being part of Ozone Park, and then he started actually fighting against the kids in Howard Beach, didn't like them. He actually came up with the word, Little Peter, Coward Beach. And that's what he was calling all of them. I never used it. I just started hanging out with kids from there, and I actually grew a liking for a lot of them. And they had some tough guys. So, but he knew them since childhood and knew they were cowards, some of them, and he would call it Coward Beach. And he was kind of on the Ozone Park side, and started to see himself as he got older that those guys used, their family members and the life as what we've seen for years, being in Ozone Park. And what we wind up seeing was it wasn't Ozone Park, which I'll leave you with the last piece of information. It wasn't Ozone Park against Howard Beach. It was everybody against 88 Park. He wind up becoming friends with all the parks and all the kids that hung out in Ozone Park as well. And even if he wasn't friends with them, they all hated 88 Park. Everybody did. And if the kids weren't as tough as they were in 88 Park, maybe they wouldn't have had them beefs, or we would have been in big trouble. But those kids were tough. They all were tough. I can't take it away. Except the one kid that, the scumbag Irish kid that's still stabbing me in my back. He couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag. And everybody thought he was just such a nice guy while he was stabbing everybody in the back behind their backs. But the rest of those guys, I really don't have a bad word to say about it, because if they did something to you, they did it to your face. And they kept that neighborhood tough. They kept that part of the neighborhood tough. Legitimate tough guys came out of there, like Joey Stabile. A lot of other guys I really don't want to, mention, because I know they wouldn't like their name on here, but there's a lot of tough guys that come out of there, And so that's what I realized. And that's when I realized from Little Peter that he despised of the life. Couldn't stand it, because I didn't understand the flip into how he was getting along so good with a lot of the guys in the Ozone Park area, which he already was. Hanging out at the bowling alley, all of those guys were all from Ozone Park. We didn't know this at the time. It would just wind up being like towards the end with the last couple beefs was everybody against 88 Park. 88 Park never fell. I gotta give props where props was due in its heyday. Whatever it was after that, I have no idea. I know while I was there, until we left, and before me, they were the toughest around. Never a good kid. He was a garbage pail too. Any chance you get, it would beat you for 50 cents. I can't tell you how much money he beat me for. Guys are the best. Signing off with 2 hours. I hope you enjoyed all the content. There is moments in there where you guys can pick out. I gave it to you. I'm going to go on. We're going to get to the questions and the comments from the supers from last week, this week. And I'll drop you an episode as well. I will get to the supers from this week, next week. My supporters are nothing but the best. My haters, they hate like no other. I've seen haters on other pages. You just hate a couple weeks and then you leave these guys alone. And guys are stone cold, no good, and you leave them alone. My haters, you guys stay on me. So I got the best supporters, and I got the most loyal haters that any podcast could have. You got what I'm saying? You got any tips for me? Not on stocks. I'm trying to learn the baseball card business now on my own, because somebody ruined that for me. So got to go out on my own now and look for the short cash instead of the long cash. earning the game. I'll get there. Been doing a lot of research. All right? Stay up. Jindan.